Amazing.
Learning.
That's it. Okay. There's different kinds of simcha.
The
The Talmud says, it says in the book of Kohelet, that's, what's that in English?
whatever it is.
Whatever.
Ecclesiastes.
Ulesimcha zohola maza osa. What good is joy? It's just frivolousness and silliness.
My name's up there already.
That's right. We've been talking about you behind your back. So what good is joy? On the other hand, it says on the board, pasuk from the book of Dvarim, that when Sukkot rolls around, v'samachta b'chagecha, you should be joyous on the holidays. So is happiness silliness? Is it worthless? Or is it a mitzvah? The Gemara answers, says, if it's meaningless, frivolity, then as the wisest of all men, tradition tells us that Kohelet was Shlomo. Right, Shlomo? Right. Shlomo HaMelech, the wisest of all men, then it's silliness. But what joy is praised? What joy is a mitzvah? Simcha shel mitzvah is different. Joy in a mitzvah. I want to ask you, what does the word mitzvah mean?
Precept.
Precept, commandment, to command. Yeah, but the word tzivui, right? You guys are studying Hebrew a little bit. There's different tenses, right? There's the past, present, future, and command. Imperative. That's right. Imperative means command. How do you say that in Hebrew? Tzivui. Tzivui. So mitzvah comes from just command. What does that mean to be? What kind of joy is there in being commanded? My son, I took him back to the army now. He's in the Miluim. He's protecting us on the northern border. He's Sat Hashem. He should be safe and protect us. He gets commands, right? In the army, you get command. You have a commander. He'll give you a command. Is that a lot of fun? It says, go run over here, go guard, stay up at night 3 hours at a time, and then no showers, no running water, no bathrooms. Where they are, they're protecting in a place where there's no base. I don't think they even have tents. He's commanded to go there, so he does what he's commanded. What joy is there in being commanded? Simcha shel mitzvah is good. Well, that's going to be... Come on, there's a holiday coming up. By the way, the pasuk we quoted is about Sukkot. The sages learn this comparison between Sukkot and Pesach and Shavuot, all three of the holidays. We have a mitzvah. The truth is, it's another 2 holidays as well. Rosh Hashanah as well, and Shavuot. I said already. So we have to be happy on the holidays. Simcha shel mitzvah. What's so joyous about being commanded?
There's someone who needs you. Feels different.
Wow, nice answer. Who's the someone that needs you?
Hashem.
Hashem, right? Hashem commanded you to do it. It means that you're important enough, right? He has a any contact from Hashem is worthwhile, and being commanded by God is a powerful thing. It's a little bit hard to connect to. I understand what you're saying. Wow, Hashem thinks I'm important enough. What I do is important enough, so I must be important. It's a very powerful idea, but it's a little hard to connect to it on a daily basis, or It's true. When you think about God, think about the commander. So it's not really about being commanded. What makes you happy is that you're being commanded by the supreme commander, right? Commander-in-chief. Melech, Malchei, Hamlachim, the King of Kings, as we say. So it's a good answer. Any other answers? Any other ideas?
I think there's serenity in knowing you're doing the right thing.
There's serenity in knowing you're doing the right thing. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. I want to add to what you're saying. You're saying that it feels good when you know you're doing something good. And serenity is one emotion. Could also feel, and Yosef was saying maybe the feeling, the emotion is one of importance or significance. You're saying serenity, that's a little bit more like you feel at ease, that you're secure, maybe that you're doing the right thing.
Well,
Explain a little more. Yeah, what do you mean?
Like personally, if I know I'm doing something and it's an avera, then there's no ease there. Very ill at ease feeling. Like,
wow.
You're doing something wrong. You're conscious.
Right. No, it's good to. You feel good when you do the right thing. You feel good when you do good. Yeah. I hear that. Simcha shel mitzvah. What else? What do you think? So one way to, I think basically what I'm driving at is that this concept of mitzvah, it doesn't have to be so narrow like I was saying. It's a command, like in an army, a commander and a command. So command, and at least so you're adding that, it's there's virtue there, it's goodness there. What I'm striving to get to is that maybe the meaning of mitzvah is a little more rounded. It's not just a directive, do this. Mitzvah has an association for us, for Jews, it's not so limited to just, a list of rules. For example, a lot of people, when they translate the Torah into English, many translations say this book, this translation they use, whenever the Chumash says, I gave you the Torah, it says, I gave you the law. You've seen that translation? Torah is translated as law. It's limiting. It's a limiting translation. The word Torah actually comes from the word Hora, which means instruction, teaching.
Light it means?
It could be connected to light. Hora is not or, but it may be connected. Also, to be a parent is a hore, to be a parent. There's a lot of shades of meaning in the Hebrew language. In Hebrew, there are shades of meaning that the same consonants share the same basic family of meanings, but then the vowels, the conjugations, they changed it in different shades of meaning, but they're all around the same family of meaning. So the same thing with, I want to go back to mitzvah and say that mitzvah, sure, it does mean command, and that's one aspect of it, but it's a little more rounded. And the Torah shouldn't be just law. Torah is guidance, right? Instruction, guidance, teaching. Mitzvah. This is a Torah from the Baal Shem Tov. He quotes the Zohar. The Zohar says that, you know what the word mitzvah means? It doesn't mean command. It comes from Aramaic. Aramaic has a word that is tzavta. Tzavta is actually no, that's safta. This is tzavta with tzadi, vav, taf. Aramaic is it with an aleph. I think there's a theater called Tzavta Theater. In Hebrew, modern Hebrew, they use the word tzevet. What does it mean in Hebrew? Group. A little bit more. Yeah, group that. A tzevet, a group with a specific
group in a group.
Right, like you have staff, for example, of a certain organization is called the tzevet, the staff who's running the place. So, but it comes from the idea of a group. Tzavta means together, and like a team, exactly. Tzevet is a team, and tzavta is togetherness, and the Zohar says that's what mitzvah means. Togetherness. It's something that connects heaven and earth. Hashem wants to be close with us. How do we get close to Him? By doing His commandments, by doing by being on His team, by being together with Him, in line with His will is, His mitzvah, His command, it's His will. His will. If you're in line with Him, you're on the same team. You're on the same seven. Beautiful. I said this Dvar Torah on Friday. I did a wedding, Baruch Hashem, married off a couple, and I started the ceremony. Everything was going great.
Friday?
Yeah, Friday morning wedding. Yeah, they do that.
Is it allowed?
It is. Yes.
I catered too.
Yes. Nice. Yeah, one of my kids got married on a Friday morning. Yeah, there's something nice about it. Not everybody likes it, but yeah. My current son who's engaged, he just said, no way, I don't want a daytime wedding, I want a nighttime, it's a different atmosphere, whatever. Okay.
Yeah,
anyways, but it is allowed.
That's rush for Shabbat.
That's right. Shabbat is a challenge. When the last time when we made the wedding, we went for Shabbat to the other family, so they had the trouble. I was a guest; it was easy for me, but it's definitely difficult to get ready for Shabbat.
It's nice to be the first. It's nice that the first day you're married is Shabbat, and this first day you spend together in under your home.
Yes.
Is
Yes.
Shabbat.
I like it.
Technically, no, it's good. But think about rushing during the ceremony, rushing as this morning. You have to rush.
Why do you have to rush the ceremony?
It's Shabbat.
Yeah,
And people have to rush, guests.
Didn't you just get an extra hour this Friday? Did you not get an extra hour? You get it. You lost an hour, but you got an hour Friday afternoon time, right? Shabbat came in an hour later, so it depends. In the summertime, it's Shabbat only comes in at 7 p.m. You have a wedding at 12. It's okay. It's possible. Yeah.
I think what Yeshaya is like fun is like, I don't understand the prohibitions related to consummating the wedding in relation to Shabbat. You need to have gone in the mikveh before Kabbalah Shabbat and candlelighting or what?
No, it's not about this.
No.
No, it's just about getting prepared.
Getting ready for Shabbat, cooking, cleaning the house. Friday afternoons are very busy. Yeah, you'd have to prepare earlier, but Fridays can be hectic. It's a good point, but in any case, anyways, I did this wedding, and he gives her the ring. I make the brachot. Everything's good, and then before the ketubah, there's a custom that the chatan puts on a talit and says shechianu. So I asked them, so I look around and said, is there a new talit? Did you prepare this? Because he's Sephardi, so most Sephardim do that. Even Ashkenazim do that nowadays. And he said, yes. Where is it? Anyways, so somebody had to go rush and find it. It was in the other room in some bag. Somebody forgot. So exactly. So that happened to me too. Yes. But this is so on the spot, while I was waiting for them to bring the talit, I said, okay, I'll tell you a Dvar Torah. Okay, I just made a bracha. Shekichanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu. What does mitzvah mean? And I went through briefly what we did here, that the word command is a simple translation, but a little bit of a minimalistic translation in Judaism. The concept of mitzvah connotes togetherness, and the mitzvah of marriage obviously brings the two of you together and brings the two of them together with Hashem. It's a mitzvah. It's something you do as part of your service to Hashem. You become on Hashem's team, and that's explains simcha. Simcha, it explains a little bit. The simcha shel mitzvah. He said, there's a mitzvah to be happy. Are you happy on the Gemara says, simcha, which is just frivolousness and silliness. And then there's simcha shel mitzvah, joy in the mitzvah. What's so joyous about being in a mitzvah? Similar to what Yosef was saying, is that your mitzvah, if you realize the mitzvah brings you close to Hashem, then you're actually engaged in a it's like a wedding. You're happy when you're getting married. What are you so happy about? You're signing a contract. Okay. Do you always make a big party when you start a partnership in a business? No, obviously there's love there. It's a joyous union. Same thing with the mitzvahs. We should feel that when we do mitzvahs, we're starting a joyous union with Hashem.
Someone who's getting married has to be happy both, of course, for the marriage, the wedding itself. I'll hope for him, but also for making a mitzvah.
Mm-hmm.
Like as two different types of joy.
It's a good question.
Or is just one joy?
I
together?
think the Torah guidance is that to combine them.
Yeah, it's more logical.
Torah combines them. As a matter of fact, it's interesting. So how do we fulfill the mitzvah to be happy on the holidays? Right, the pasuk in the Torah on the board is you should be happy on the holidays. Samachta b'chagecha. You should be very happy. V'ayita ach sameach. The pasuk goes on to say. How do we fulfill that mitzvah of being happy on the holidays? Anybody know? You should know, and you should know. I mentioned it last week. How do you fulfill the mitzvah? This is a special mitzvah. You must be joyous on the festivals.
By drinking wine.
One answer. Good answer.
And eating meat.
Good answer. I want it even better. More.
You sanctify it, you separate it.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily part of the Torah says don't do work, but that's not necessarily brings you joy. I mean, you may not like work, but being together with people is interesting. It's not mentioned as one of the ways to be happy. Although it does mention you should be happy with your family, with your daughter and your son and your and your wife. It does mention the family members. So you're right. There's a social element which brings you joy. What you said? Sorry.
No, you ever said new clothes?
New clothes.
New clothes. That's mentioned in the Talmud.
Will you joke about it?
So we said meat, wine, new clothes, kids. You give them candy, right? The Rambam adds, and Simchat Sukkot, there was a big party during Chol Hamoed. What was that called? Every day of Chol Hamoed. What was it called? Simchat Beit HaShoeva, the joy of the water drawing. It was a big party at Beit HaMikdash. That was a party. So partying, meat, wine, being with your family. One thing you didn't say, because it makes sense, we don't have a Beit HaMikdash nowadays, is that in the day, you have to bring a korban. You had to bring a sacrifice.
Yeah.
And you would eat the meat of the sacrifice. So all that is part of Simcha Shel Mitzvah. And Yeshai asked the question, then he had to step out. But he said, well, are there two separate things? You're happy with your wife, with your marriage, and you're happy with the mitzvah, with that you're serving God. So I think what this teaches us, this definition of the Talmud, that Simcha Shel Mitzvah means, how do you accomplish Simcha Shel Mitzvah? And it gives you all these lists of physical things. Meat, wine, clothing, dancing, parties. What? It should say, go meditate, pray, learn. It says, be happy by doing all these physical things. I like to tell the story. I think the Baal Shem Tov tells it that, or I'll give you my version of it. There's a Nobel Prize winner in physics, I think. And he was a professor his whole life. He was a little eccentric. I don't know if you've ever met. I've actually met eccentric.
He's a right-wing fanatic.
He goes off at the age of 70. He goes off to live in Iceland.
Wow.
You're talking about somebody else.
And in Iceland, there's not too many academics. Let's put it that way. People gather every day and they go to the pub. There's not much to do there. And
Just fishing, that's it.
yeah, fishing. The locals are having their beers, and he gets a call one day. Mazal Tov, you won the Nobel Prize. in his work that he did his whole life long in physics. Wow, it's amazing. He wants to share his joy. When you're happy, you want to share your joy. But what's he going to go explain to them? Yeah, I created this new equation or this new mechanism for splitting the atom. I don't know, whatever it is. Nobody's going to understand anything. So he goes to the pub and he says, "A round of beers for everybody on me." And big party, everybody's happy. They're celebrating and he's celebrating. Because you need to be together to celebrate. And the Baal Shem Tov said, we are composed of a neshama and a body. We have a guf and a neshama, soul. And the soul wants to be happy. Soul is very happy many times, but it's stuck in Iceland. It's stuck in a physical body. You can't really express your joy purely spiritually. You got to bring the body with you. And so we feed the body good food and drink. We get meat and wine and all the normal things, part of life. We're human beings. And so we do get happy. We do enjoy meat and wine. And there's nothing wrong with that. The Torah says that's the mitzvah. Bringing that in to your service of Hashem, into your joy in spiritual matters. Ultimately, the joy is in Hashem. That's what brings you joy. Just eating meat and wine by itself, that can lead you to silliness and to just fressing, just eating. So anyway, I think they go together. I think the joy when you marry a woman is at the same time a mitzvah, and that's simcha shel mitzvah because you're connecting to Hashem. But what do we do when we get married? We say brachot. Going tonight to another wedding, Baruch Hashem, of a former student of ours. I don't think you guys, maybe he comes in the afternoon sometimes. Jonathan Nielsen from Denmark is getting married tonight. And it's a simcha shel mitzvah, it's a sumas mitzvah. You're supposed to be happy, and you have to have a party, you have to have a meal. And so I don't think it's separate. I think it's part of serving Hashem. It's through this human joy. It doesn't go against the joy in serving Hashem. We put them together. In any case,
we are also sanctifying God's name. No?
Absolutely. So what I like to say, and I think I said it on Friday as well, is that so you're going to get married now. So what do? You bring a rabbi and you have a chuppah, and the rabbi says blessings. What does he say in the blessing? Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav, right? V'tzivam, right? So Hashem sanctified us with His commandments. So essentially, I see it as a triangle. We have the chatan and the kala, but we want their happiness, their joy, their union to be joined with the third element in the triangle, which is Hakadosh Baruch Hu, right? And what's a wedding called in Hebrew? The first part of a wedding is called Kiddushin. Kiddushin, the same word. So Kiddushin is I like to say that the brachot invite Hakadosh Baruch Hu to be with us and sanctify this marriage, this union. That's the difference between just hooking up. Today there's a hookup culture, right? There's such a thing, and the Rambam writes that this is the way the world existed for thousands of years. A man and a woman like each other. They decide to live together. And it wasn't created today. It's not something so modern. Perhaps modern is that it's so, flimsy and disposable. But the idea was that if they both agree, they move in and they live together and they live happily ever after. Along came the Torah and said, once we got the Torah at Mount Sinai, it says, You're Jewish now. You've got a mechanism for making this union holy. And that's called kiddushin. If you want to sleep with a woman, you must give her a ring. You must make her your wife. It comes with holiness, and it comes with purity, and it comes with responsibilities, and the concept of mitzvah, which joins you to Hashem. And we're not supposed to just let this, this sexual drive turn us into animals who just, lightly have sex, without any without putting it in the context of service of Hashem, making it holy. That's the mitzvah of getting married. The Rambam describes it that way. That was instituted for the Jewish people at Sinai. Yes.
Yes, neither you should give a ring to a woman just for living with her. I guess.
That's part of it. That's part of it.
No, but
not, of course, not only.
Some people maybe do this, like they rush to get married instead of dating for a bit longer, maybe for this reason. Some people might do it, I'm not saying. But we have to be careful also on that side, because then they got divorced at the end. Doesn't matter.
Right. That's right.
So
if it's just about carnal knowledge, it's not going to last very long. It has to be a relationship. That's right. The Torah tells us we're supposed to have. What does it say in the brachot? Open up the brachot. Where are the brachot of a wedding? I think you have it here on page 1000. You want to say? There's two places it should appear. Once is after Birkat Hamazon for the Sheva Brachot, but also there's a marriage service on 1117. 1117. I'll say it one more time. That's page 1117.
Secular life.
Marriage service. So we have quite a number of brachot. You see only at the bottom of the page are the 7 blessings of marriage, called Sheva Brachot Hanisuin. On top of that, we have blessings of betrothal. Wait, what's the difference between betrothal and marriage? This is English class. What's the difference between betrothal and marriage? In Hebrew, it's erusin and nisuin. This is very advanced stuff. What's the difference in erusin and nisuin?
A marriage is like combining things, like a union. Betrothal.
Commitment.
I don't know, right?
Absolutely.
What is betrothal?
It's to designate someone to be yours. Now, the bad translation of erusin is the modern day translation of erusin. In modern Hebrew, erusin means getting engaged. You announce to the world, we're going to get married in some date in the future, whatever it is. In halacha, in Judaism, that has a different name. That's called shidduchim. So, but colloquially, people call that getting engaged. They call it erusin. But halachically, erusin actually is done at the wedding, and it's the first stage of marriage. Actually, it's called betrothal in English, which is essentially getting married. Once, if you give the woman a ring, that's when you give the woman a ring at the betrothal stage. The nisuin is when you're standing under the chuppah and you say the 7 blessings.
What is the marriage?
The actual marriage is this giving of the ring. It's called erusin in halachic Hebrew. Erusin doesn't mean engagement. A year. Erusin means marriage.
And then what
First stage of marriage. Nisuin is the second stage of marriage. That's when you you bring her into your home and you live together. That's nisuin. You could say consummating the marriage or living based on this. It's all here on page 1117.
And the last step, is the third step.
That's it. Nisuin is the last step.
Just 2 steps.
2 steps.
But
There are more, but those are the main ones. Those are the basic ones.
But I always thought about this. This is something I think is interesting. Is there any halachic prescription? That's not halachic law, whatever, about who you're getting married to. What I mean with this, because if someone
Absolutely.
no like, like if someone, let's say this, is getting married with a person that, let's say, is considered suitable, whatever, Jewish, but then let's say they don't know it, they don't know each
Criteria
other.
number one, they have to be Jewish. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Good point. Yes.
But they don't know each other actually. They didn't spend time together. They went out to 1, 2 days. That you're getting married with a stranger. And also, sorry if I say this, they're gonna sleep with a stranger. Which, in my sensibility, is not the same thing, but is closer to when people hook up. It's like sorry if I say this, it's like making holy something that is just instinct.
So absolutely the
Not
the,
everyone.
halach, the Torah agrees with what you're saying. I like to quote Rabbi Akiva. Heard of him? He said that you have to have at least one date before you get married. There's no rule about how many it has to be: 6 months, 3 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years. But there has to be minimum of one date. And you know why? He said because the Torah says, "Ve'ahavta lereacha kamocha." What does that mean?
Love your fellow.
Love your neighbor as yourself. What's that have to do with anything? He said, well, if you don't have a date, you don't even have maybe you'll marry her without knowing her, and you won't love her. You won't be able to love her. Not that in one date you can actually reach love, but you could test the water somewhat. You can see if she's a little bit attractive to you or something like that. You have to have a minimum of one date, because otherwise you're ignoring the idea that there has to be love in the marriage. So that's what I want to show you here. If you turn to page 1119, in the second blessing on that page, says, bring great joy. That's page 1118. You see the second paragraph? Sameach. Sameach to samach. Bring great joy to these loving friends. Well, I imagine this means that they're supposed to be loving. What do you mean they're loving? They're loving to each other. Just like you gave joy to your creations in the Garden of Eden. Who are your creations in the Garden of Eden? Adam and Chava. This is a nice idea. Sometimes I share at weddings, explaining this blessing. What was unique about Adam and Chava?
They were made for and from each other.
True. And also that there was nobody else. In other words, when you get married, you are entering a commitment when you are saying to yourself and to the rest of the world, and to her, obviously, and to him, that that's it. You are my mate. Once and for all, and forever. And this is, even though you know, the Zohar says this. There's a rabbi of Tekoa who likes to quote the Zohar at weddings. He says the regular brachot, and he gives her the ring. He says, but now, after you've done the kosher halachic wedding, I want you to marry your wife according to the Zohar. This was Rabbi Menachem Fruman, a blessed memory. His yortzeit is tonight, I believe. So it's amazing that we're quoting him on the day that he passed away, I think 2 years ago. And, or maybe it's more than 2 years, but I saw a sign that maybe it is 2 years. I'm not sure. In any case, he said, I've heard him do a number of weddings like this, and he says, now, repeat after me, he says to the Chatan. And he quotes a passage of the Zohar. The Zohar says, when you get married, you say to your wife, you, for me, are like Eve, like Chava. You are the woman in my life. And all the other women are like monkeys. He was a funny guy. And he had the Chatan say, in Aramaic. All the other women are like monkeys. That's it. So this engenders love, the commitment, the realization that this is free. So that's perhaps the meaning of the bracha here. Bring great joy to these loving friends, as you gave joy to your creations in the Garden of Eden. Why do we say their joy, this joy of this couple should be like the joy of Adam and Eve? Can you imagine what joy that is? So many people have marriages ruined because of jealousy, because they're looking outside at other women or other men. No other women or no other men. That brings you tremendous joy. It's not just about being monogamous. Being monogamous not only in action, but in thought, in speech, in your mindset. And that engenders tremendous joy. We said simcha shel mitzvah. That you get tremendous satisfaction knowing you're doing the right thing. You said serenity even. So I think there's serenity and security in a marriage. When you have this kind of a marriage, when you have this kind of commitment, you feel that engenders the simcha more. And it says, Re'im ha'ovim, these loving friends. You have to be friends. V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Re'im, re'a means friends. You know where this party was on Simchat Torah, the Nova rave. It was in a kibbutz, near the kibbutz called Re'im. And this Sameach to Samach, Re'im ha'ovim, friends. There's a kibbutz called Kibbutz of Friends, the Friends Kibbutz. It's a beautiful name for a kibbutz. Fortunately, their love and their joy got torn to pieces. Bezrat Hashem, they should all come back. Whoever's still in captivity should come back soon. We should beat back those evil maniacs and murderers. So, yes, we should have joy in friendship. Friendship and joy, these are basic concepts of the mitzvah. And how is it engendered? By this uniqueness that nobody else is allowed in. You have to circle the wagons, as they say. That's one explanation of why the kalo is an Ashkenazi custom. It goes back, only a couple hundred years. But the Ashkenazi custom that the kalo walks around the chatan 7 times. You've seen that. Some people do 3 times. Some people don't do it, but when they come into the chuppah. It's one explanation. What happens? And what happens? The walls collapse. So some people said there's a wall between every person and the other person, and a husband and wife. You shouldn't have any walls between you. You wanted to create a union. So the symbolic 7 circles is going to make those walls between them fall down. It's a beautiful explanation.
And they have like
another explanation. No, there's no.
I see like in the Israel do that.
What? That's something else. That's not under the chuppah. But the explanation that I was getting at is that what I like to say is that this walk creates a little bit of a territory for the chatan. It's like a bubble. She says, that's it. Now he's not looking elsewhere, not looking outside of this space. That's their intimate space between this bride and this groom. And the parallel I like to explain, you know what, before they come to the chuppah, what's the custom?
What?
The chatan goes over to the kala.
And open the veil.
He doesn't open the veil. He closes the veil. He puts the veil on her face. He goes to her and closes. Why are you covering her up? It's a strange custom. Goes back to perhaps the biblical story. Who covered herself with a kerchief? Rivka. When she comes and sees her chatan coming, she falls off the camel and covers herself with a kerchief. It's a good question. I have an explanation that I'm sharing with you right now. With this one, I'm going to conclude. I think that it's the flip side of the chatan walking around the kala. We said that essentially she is creating a space for him that says, we have our intimate circle, and this is where our love is going to grow. In this greenhouse, in this bubble. And the same thing, when he covers her face, she's not looking outside either. She's not looking outside anywhere else. Her joy is going to come from the inside, from this intimate relationship. And this is perhaps for the Khatan, for the Kala. It's an explanation, but these customs are very ancient. And anyways, we saw a little bit of explanations about the mitzvah of what does mitzvah mean. Simcha shel mitzvah, the joy in getting married. Bezrat Hashem, each and every one of you, in the right time, will have Simcha shel mitzvah. Of course, on Pesach coming up, and all the festivals, but also in your marriages. Bezrat Hashem, yes.
There's a few things I saw in the Indian weddings, like the Hindu, which is very similar.
Oh, yeah.
The first